चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन
चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन
तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः।
तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः।
श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं
श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं
स्थापितं येन भूतले
स्थापितं येन भूतले
स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं
स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं
ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्।
ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्।
हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो
श्रीकृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु
दीनबन्धो जगत्पते
दीनबन्धो जगत्पते
गोपेश गोपिका कान्त
गोपीश गोपिका
राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते।
राधाकान्ता नमोऽस्तुते।
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च
वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च
कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च
कृपासिन्धुभ्य एव च
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो
पतितानां पावनेभ्यो
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
नमो विष्णुपादाय
नम ॐ विष्णुपादाय
कृष्णप्रस्थाय भूतले
कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले
ते भक्तिवेदान्त
श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त
स्वामिनिति नामिने।
स्वामी नामिने।
नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे
नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे
गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे
गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे।
Okay. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय
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 नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नारायणं नमस्कृत्य
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
नरं चैव नरोत्तमं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं
ततो जयम् उदीरयेत्।
तथा जयमुदीरये।
नस्तप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु
नष्टप्रायस्वभद्रेषु
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
नित्यं भागवत सेवया
भगवती उत्तम श्लोके
भगवते उत्तम श्लोके
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी.
भक्तिर्भवति नैष्ठिकी.
So today we'll do slok number 3, chapter 1. You can see it here. So this is easy slok, so you can all recite after me. Try it. Nigamakalpataro galitam phalam
निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलम्
निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलम्
निगमकल्पतरोर्गलितं फलम्
सुखमुखाद् अमृतद्रवसंयुतम्
सुखमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतम्
सुखमुखाद् अमृतद्रवसंयुतम्
सुखमुखादमृतद्रवसंयुतम्
पिबत भागवतं रसमालयम्
पिबत भागवतं रसमालयम्
मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः
मुहुरहो रसिका
रसिका भुवि भावुकाः
मुहुरहो रसिका भुवि भावुकाः.
Okay, one of you can read the translation. Can you, who can read? Krishna Chaitanya, can you read the translation?
Yes, Prabhuji. O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam, the mature fruit of the desired of Vedic literature. It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukhdev Goswami. Therefore, the fruit has become even more tasteful. Although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all, including liberated souls.
Very good. So today, this verse is very nice. So it says Nigama Kalpataror Galitam Phalam. What it means? The Kalpataro means desire tree. Okay. So with the potency, it's a Bhagavatam. It's a glorification of Bhagavatam again. We did glorification in second verse also. So it says here, Nigama Kalpataro Galitam Phalam means Bhagavatam is mature fruit of the tree of Vedic literature. That means Vedic literature is compared to tree and Srimad Bhagavatam is compared to mature fruit. Okay. And then second thing, this nectar emanated from the mouth of Sukhdev Goswami. We will shortly see the Sukhdev Goswami's birth story also. Okay. So Sukhdev Goswami spoke this Srimad Bhagavatam to Parikshit Maharaj. Who is Sukhdev Goswami? Does anybody know? Sukhdev Goswami is son of
Vyasadev's son.
Yeah, son of Vyasadeva. Very good. Then it is said Bhagavatam nectarian juice is relished by liberated soul and soul still to achieve liberation. And it is especially relishable for the expert and thoughtful soul. So from the previous two verses, okay, it is concluded that Srimad Bhagavatam is the supreme literature. Like in the first verse, Lord Vyasadeva, he glorifies Lord Krishna's qualities. He defines who is Lord Sri Krishna is. Okay, and then in second verse, he defines what is Srimad Bhagavatam and also what is real religion. And then he rejects the cheating religion. Okay, so that means in this sloka that we are doing today, it is mentioned that Srimad Bhagavatam is not only supreme literature, but is the ripened fruit of all Vedic literature. That means it is cream of all Vedic knowledge. Therefore, patient and submissive hearing is definitely essential. The Vedas, as I mentioned, compared to a desired tree called Vedic tree, or Kalpa Vruksha. Kalpa Vruksha translated as desire tree. Kalpa means desire, Vruks means tree. Kalpa Vruks means desire tree. Because they contain all things knowable by men. They deal with material necessities as well as spiritual realization. Now, about Srila Sukhdev Goswami, today we will see presentation on Sukhdev Goswami's birth history. But I'll tell you a little bit about it. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam is exactly received from the right source. It was brought by Narad Muni from the spiritual world and given to his disciple Srila Vyasdev. He delivers to his son Srila Sukhdev Goswami, and Sukhdev Goswami delivered this message to Maharaj Pariksit just 7 days before his death. Sukhdev Goswami was a liberated soul from his very birth. He was liberated soul even in the womb of his mother. And he did not undergo any sort of spiritual training after his birth because he was already liberated. Sukhdev Goswami is a great devotee of Krishna. He stayed in the womb of his mother for 16 years. In the spiritual world, he is parrot of Srimati Radharani. In Sanskrit, parrot is known as Sukha. Parrot in English, in Sanskrit it is called Sukha, S-U-K-A. Sukha means parrot. Okay? And when a ripened fruit is cut by the red beaks of such birds, its sweet flavor is enhanced. So as such, he was parrot of Radharani in spiritual world. And when Sukhdev Goswami, Sukha parrot, it is given comparison that when parrot with his red beak, touches the mango fruit, it becomes more sweetened. So Vyasdev has compiled Srimad Bhagavatam, but then Vyasdev taught Srimad Bhagavatam to his son Sukhdev Goswami. So he became also a disciple of his father, Vyasdev. So, and then he spoke it to Parikshit Maharaj. So the Srimad Bhagavatam is now even more relishable. The Vedic fruit, which is mature and ripe in knowledge, is spoken through the lips of Sukhdev Goswami, who is compared to the parrot not for his ability to recite the Bhagavatam as he heard it from his learned father, but for his ability to present the work in a manner that would relishable to all classes of men. Thus, first 3 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam that we have done so far, it is becomes the prelude, or you can say it becomes the basis for Srimad Bhagavatam. That is why we have one class on each verse, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, from tomorrow we'll take a group of verses for the lesson number 5 that we're gonna do tomorrow. I mean next week. So in these 3 verses, the first verse defines the absolute truth, means Lord Krishna, and second describes Bhagavatam, means glories of Bhagavatam, and also defines the actual religion. And the third, which is we are doing it today, it invites mankind or human being to taste the Bhagavatam sweetness, how sweet the Bhagavatam is. That is what it is described in this verse. So basically, the Kalpataru, as I mentioned, desire 3, has a potency to fulfill one's desire. In other words, if you stand under a desired tree and if you ask any fruit, it will give you. It will give you apple, it will give you banana, it will give you orange, anything it can give. That is called Kalpavruksha, means desired tree. Such trees are there in the spiritual world. Okay. For those with material desire, the process of spiritual advancement is gradual because an abrupt leap from material life to spiritual life is not easy. Thus, the Vedas instruct one how to live in the material world with wealth, family, land, and pleasure, yet gradually become purified. So, this is the beauty of Vedas. Vedas give knowledge to everyone, to materialistic people also, people who wants to earn money, who wants to enjoy. The information is given in Vedas, but it is a slow process. But one who gets into that Vedic knowledge right away, they will get liberation soon. So the fulfillment of material desire, however, is not the ultimate purpose of the Veda. Rather, the Vedic mode of instruction is meant to gradually encourage spiritual advancement, the goal of entire Vedic civilization. Thus, the Vedic literature is divided into sections, each of which emphasizes appropriate practices for individual at different levels of advancement. The 18 Purana, for example, are divided into three divisions for people influenced by each of the three modes of nature. Now, there are three modes of nature. Okay, one is mode of goodness, second is mode of passion, and third is mode of ignorance. So that is why Vyasadeva has written 6 Puranas in mode of goodness, 6 Puranas in mode of passion, and 6 Puranas in mode of ignorance. So that way, because there are all kinds of different kinds of people, they are not all at the same level. So, but while they're following that thing, gradually they will purify themselves. So, one Puran may therefore appear to contradict another in its instruction and emphasis. Even after compiling the 4 Vedas, almost all the Puranas, the Vedanta Sutra, and the Mahabharata, Srila Vyasadeva felt dissatisfied. He realized that he had not emphasized the ultimate goal, which is Krishna consciousness. Only after compiling Bhagavad Puran, Srimad Bhagavatam, which we are studying, Srimad Bhagavatam was the only literature when he compiled that he was completely satisfied. Before that, even though he read other 17 Puranas, Upanishad, he was not satisfied. So it is mentioned that other means of advancement, that means karma kand, gyan, yoga, or sometimes the hurt yoga, one cannot advance abruptly. Although scripturally justified, they are rejected by Srimad Bhagavatam. Only the process of devotional service to Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is established as the method to attain life's ultimate goal. Why that is so? Because in Kali Yuga, the present age of quarrel and hypocrisy, it is necessary to take direct approach. For in this age, no one can progress methodically through the intricate Vedic system and achieve the actual goal. The word Galitam Phalam means mature food. Bhagavatam offers only the ripe fruit of the tree of Vedic literature. One may obtain a sweet tree ripened mango only after lengthy and arduous endeavor. It requires that one first plant, nourish, and water the tree, protecting it from weeds, and then wait years until the tree is mature enough to produce ripe fruit. So many fruit trees reach maturity after dozens of years, means many years. But when the first sweet juicy mangoes finally ripen, he who planted the tree can finally harvest the fruit and experience pleasure. That is the condition of Srila Vyasadeva. When he wrote Srimad Bhagavatam, compiled it completely, he was completely satisfied. Then Sukha Mukhad Amrita Drava Sanyutam. This nectar which emanated from the mouth of Sukhdev Goswami is easily swallowed and perfect in all respect. Sukha Mukhad means that the Srimad Bhagavatam emanates from the mouth of Srila Sukhdev Goswami. Although Sukh is parrot, this does not indicate that Sukhdev Goswami parroted Bhagavatam. A parrot devoid of understanding simply mimics words. Rather, Sukhdev being called a parrot implies that as the cut of parrot's big sweetness fruit, the Bhagavatam becomes sweeter still when presented with the depth of Sukhdev Goswami's realization. So that was the glory of Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is nectar in an easily digested form. Unless one is liberated soul, he will not be able to assimilate the spiritual taste. Then Pibata Bhagavatam Rasamalayam, we say in third line. Bhagavatam's nectar juice is relishable by liberated soul and soul that is yet to be liberated. It is a very nice advantage of being reading this kind of Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, in this world, everyone is looking for happiness, right? The attempt to find pleasure in matter will cease for those who read the Bhagavatam and relish its contents. And then in the last line, it says about Muhuraho Rasika Bhuvi Bhavukaha. So, Srimad Bhagavatam is especially relishable for the expert and thoughtful soul. That is what is mentioned there. So those souls who are Bhuvi Bhavuka means experienced and thoughtful, and who actually understand the nature of this world should always relish this Srimad Bhagavatam's nectar. Sukhdev Goswami is an ideal example of such fortunate soul. He was liberated even before birth and had no desire to enjoy this world. We will see that in the story that we're going to do soon. Indeed, for 16 years, he refused to leave his mother's womb for fear that he would fall under the Maya spell. Yet, such a great soul eagerly relished the Bhagavatam by first hearing, then speaking this great literature. So now we will turn to the story part of Sukhdev Goswami's birth. Okay, so let me get out of this and I will again share the screen. Oh, let me get these out. Okay, so that would be okay. So Sukhdev Goswami. All right. So here we're gonna say Sukhdev Goswami. Now Sukhdev Goswami is the character which you need to know about him. There are so many characters in Srimad Bhagavatam. Vyasadeva is one of them. We will discuss that next time. But today, I will, by this story, we will know who Sukhdev Goswami is. Okay. And before we read the story, I'll tell you few things about Sukhdev Goswami. Okay. He is a great devotee of Krishna. Okay, number one. Number two, he is the son and disciple of Srila Vyasadeva. So if you would like to make a note, you can make a note of it also. He is a great devotee of Krishna, son and disciple of Vyasadeva. He spoke Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Pariksit in 7 days. He stayed in the womb of his mother for 16 years. In the spiritual world, he is the Srimati Radharani's parrot. Okay. Now, you're all gonna one by one help me to read the story. Okay. Okay. So who's gonna, you raise your hand, who's gonna begin? Who is the first reader? Krishna Chaitanya, can you do it?
Yes, Prabhuji. In his previous life, Sukhdev Goswami was a parrot, but he was not any ordinary parrot. He was the personal parrot of Srimati Radharani. He used to take messages from her to Krishna.
Right. So what is the function? What is the job of parrot in spiritual world? The parrot is a messenger. Like he was messenger between Lord Krishna and and Srimati Radharani. You know. So in that was very dear to Radharani, that parrot.
Can Ramchandra?
Next slide, Kartika, would you like to read it?
Yes, Prabhuji. Parrot Sukha Radhirani. When Srimati Radharani was about to leave this world back to the spiritual world, she told her parrot called Sukha to stay here. But the parrot did not want to stay here without her. Then Srimati Radharani assured her wherever the transcendental
Transcendental.
pastimes of the Supreme Lord are being narrated,
Hmm.
you will not feel separation from me.
Right. So transcendental means divine, okay? Divine quality. That is called transcendental.
Can Ramchandra?
Make sure you all slowly try to understand the whole story, okay? Pay attention. Okay, who is the next reader?
Can Ramchandra go?
Okay, Ramchandra. Okay, let me change this. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Thus the parrot Sukha started looking out for a place where Harikatha was going on. He finally reached Kailash, the place where Lord Shiva and Parvati lived. Lord Shiva was reciting Srimad Bhagavatam to Parvati. The parrot Sukha hid himself in the green leaves of the tree under which Lord Shiva was sitting and started hearing the nectarian pastimes of his beloved Lord.
Right. So you get the link from the previous slide. When it was time for Radharani to go to spiritual world, the parrot did not want to stay here, but Radharani told him that you will be able to hear Hari Katha, Krishna Katha. So please stay here. So he stayed. Radharani went to spiritual world, and then he was looking for a place, and he came here to Kailash. You know that is where Kailash, Lord Shiva and Parvati. You can see in this picture, and Lord Shiva was telling Krishna Katha to Parvati. And at that time, Sukha, that parrot, got an opportunity to hear Krishna Katha. So he was hiding under the green, because he himself green color, so hiding in the green leaves of the tree. Okay. So who is the next reader?
And Jericho,
Okay, Mihika, go ahead.
Lord Shiva speaking Bhagavatam to Mother Parvati. Lord Shiva was completely absorbed in reciting Srimad Bhagavatam. Every few minutes, Parvati would make some sounds like so that Lord Shiva would know that she was still listening. However, after some time, she went to sleep and stopped making any sound. Then Sukha, who was hiding behind the leaves, started making the sound in the way that as Parvati.
Very good, very good. So did you all understood what is going on? Right? While Lord Shiva was telling Katha to Parvati, Parvati was actually doing means the speaker will know that the listener is hearing, that is the sign. But Lord Shiva was absorbed in telling Katha and Parvati sleep. So during that time, that Sukha responded, Now let's say who's reading next part?
can Sharif read next?
Yeah, go ahead, Sharif.
Okay. When the Srimad Bhagavatam was about to end, Parvati woke up. Lord Shiva wanted to know how she liked the narration. Parvati begged forgiveness from the Lord and admitted that she had gone off to sleep. Lord Shiva was amazed and asked her who was making that sound. Then she said that she did not know. Lord Shiva started looking all around to see if someone was hiding and hearing his pastimes. He finally spotted the parrot hiding in the tree.
Right. So you know it, right? So everybody. Okay, next. Who is reading next slide?
Can Rishita read it?
Yeah, go ahead.
Lord Shiva started thinking that the parrot was not qualified to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. If an unqualified person hears these transcendental narrations, there will be lots of disturbances. Therefore, he wanted to kill the parrot immediately. Lord Shiva took his trident and ran towards the parrot. Seeing Lord Shiva, Sukha started flying away. Lord Shiva followed him. Finally, the parrot reached the hermitage of Srila Vasudeva. Srila Vasudeva was narrating Srimad Bhagavatam to his wife, Bitika, while hearing his wife yawned. At that point, the parrot entered into her open mouth. Lord Shiva also reached the hermitage. He inquired from Vasudeva if he had seen the parrot.
Okay. So what happened? The Lord Shiva was chasing after that parrot. What happened to parrot? Where did parrot go?
The parrot went in Bitika's mouth.
Yeah, womb of Bitika, right? Who is Bitika?
The wife of Vyasadeva.
Okay, all right. Let's go to the next one. Who can read it?
Can Gaurangi read, Prabhuji?
Yes, go ahead.
Lord Shiva Vyasudev. At that moment, the parrot, sorry. At that point, the parrot entered into her open mouth. Lord Shiva also reached the hermitage. He inquired from Vyasadeva if he had seen the parrot. Then Lord Shiva narrated him the whole incident. Lord Shiva told Srila Vyasadeva that if someone who hears Srimad Bhagavatam gets free from the cycle of birth and death and becomes eternal. Srila Vyasadeva commented that since the parrot had become eternal by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, he could not be killed. So Lord Shiva went away.
Very good. Okay, next. Who can read? Pratik, you would like to read?
Yes, I would like to. Sukadeva Goswami, 16 years in womb. The parrot Sukha inside the body of Bitika took the form of a baby within her womb. However, he did not come out of the womb at the usual time. Instead of 9 months, he stayed in the womb for 16 years. This boy became famous as Sukadeva Goswami. He was the one who narrated Srimad Bhagavatam to Maharaj Parikshit.
Very good, very good. Next. Who is next reader? Anybody volunteering? Or should I have to tell their name?
Prabhuji, can we go again?
Everybody has taken that turn, then you can take another
Can
turn.
Radhika go?
Yes, Radhika, go ahead.
Sukhdev Goswami. Sukhdev Goswami, the son of Vyasadeva, is described in great detail in the Brahma Vaivarta Puran. The child remained in the womb of his mother for many years, and when the father asked the son to come out, the son replied that he would not come unless he were completely liberated from the influence of Maya.
Yeah, see, while he was in the womb of his mother, he will not want to come out because he was afraid of Maya. So let's see what happened next. Who can read it? Anybody who hasn't got their turn yet, please come forward. Otherwise, we'll go second round. Anybody who would like to read who hasn't read it so far? Everybody is covered? Okay. So let's see. Who is Satvik?
Yeah.
Satvik? Okay, Satvik, go ahead.
Okay, Sukadeva Goswami, Vyasadeva then assured that the child that he would not be influenced by Maya. But the child did not believe his father, for the father was still attached to his wife and children. Vyasadeva then went to
Varka.
Dwaraka and informed the personality of Godhead about his problem. And personality of Godhead at Vyasadeva's request went to Vyasadeva's cottage, where he assured the child in the womb that he would not be influenced by Maya. Thus assured, the child came out, but he immediately went away, as
Parivrajaka Parivrajaka Acharya means one who travels. Okay, the mendicant, the sannyasi in a saffron cloth, they are called Parivrajaka because they travel and preach. So their name is Parivrajaka. Now here, who is referred to here? The Supreme Personality of Godhead. Who is that person? Does anybody know?
Shri Krishna.
Sri Krishna, very good. And at that time, he was living in Dwarka, right? Because Lord Krishna has performed pastime 3 places. In the childhood time, he plays in Vrindavan. Then in youth, he was in, or between youth and childhood pastime, he was in Mathura. And then he went to Dwarka in his youth age. Okay, so there is Krishna. Next, who can read the next slide?
Charit.
Charit, okay, go ahead.
Okay, Sukhdev Goswami spoke Bhagavatam. One must be very careful to hear the message from the right source. Srimad Bhagavatam is exactly received from the right source. It was brought by Narada Muni from the spiritual world and given to his disciple Sri Vyasadeva. The latter, in turn, delivered the message to his son Srila Sukhdev Goswami. And Srila Sukhdev Goswami delivered the message to Maharaja Parikshit just 7 days before the king's death.
Very good. Next, Gaurangi, are you there?
Yes, Prabhuji. Sukhdev Goswami, the famous son and the disciple of Sri Vyasadeva, who taught him the first Mahabharata, then Srimad Bhagavatam. Sukhdev Goswami recited 1,400,000 verses from the Mahabharata, and in the councils of the Gandharvas, Yakshas, and Rakshasas. And he recited Srimad Bhagavatam for the first time in the presence of Maharaj Parikshit. He thoroughly studied all the Vedic literatures from his great father. Thus, he was a completely purified soul by dint of his extensive knowledge in the principles of religion.
Very good. Thank you all for reading this story. Very interesting story, right? So this is the birth history of Sukhdev Goswami, who is one of the heroes. Actually, he is the principal speaker of Srimad Bhagavatam, and Parikshit is principal listener of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so I will get out of. Everybody understood the story, right? Okay, so now I'm going to ask you questions. Okay, and then we will recite some verses also, and then you can ask questions. Okay, the question number 1. With what Vedic literature is compared with?
Desire tree.
Yes. Desire tree. Okay. With what Srimad Bhagavatam is compared with?
Krishna?
No.
The fruit of the tree?
Yeah, fruit. Srimad is mature fruit of the tree of Vedic literature. So Vedic literature is compared to tree, and Srimad Bhagavatam is compared to the mature fruit. Okay. Third question. What was Vedas are? Oh, that is done. Okay. From whom Sukhdev Goswami learned Srimad Bhagavatam?
His father?
Yes. What is his father's name?
Vyasadeva.
Okay. Very good. So now I'm going to ask the name of a person, and that person should answer. Okay. From whom Vyasadeva received Srimad Bhagavatam? I'm going to.
Narada Muni.
Narada Muni from Vyasadeva. Okay. From whom Narad received Srimad Bhagavatam?
Vyasadeva.
Vishnu?
No.
Krishna, Lord Krishna.
Brahma.
Brahma, very good, Brahma. And from where Brahma got it?
From Lord Vishnu.
Lord Krishna.
Very good, very good. Okay. Garbhodaksai Vishnu, right? We will also see that in the when we go to that incarnation. Now, how long Sukhdev Goswami stayed in his mother's womb?
16 years.
16 years. 16 years.
Who is Sukhdev Goswami in the spiritual world?
Srimati Radharani's parent.
Radharani's parent. Very good.
Yeah.
So, now I will ask about these 3 verses we talked about, which are the basis of Srimad Bhagavatam, like I told you, okay. So the first verse, what we have learned, first verse of Srimad Bhagavatam defines what? Yeah, Lord Krishna. He defines the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, Supreme, absolute truth. In other words, absolute truth is nothing but Lord Krishna.
Lord Krishna.
Okay, the second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam describes what?
The qualities, I'm not sure.
Second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is, we did it yesterday, Dharma Projata Kaitavat, right? So second verse of Srimad Bhagavatam describes what?
Dharma.
Yeah, actual religion, right?
Oh, Dharma.
And the third verse, which we did today. Third verse, which we did today, is also very important. It invites the humanity to relish Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, so these are, that is why these 3 verses of Srimad Bhagavatam are very, very important. Okay, so now we will recite some of the verses before you ask questions. Okay, so did you all got those what we sent for lesson 1, 2, 3 in your WhatsApp group? Have you printed it out?
Prabhuji, we don't have a printer.
No.
Oh, you
We don't have a printer, Prabhuji.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. So anyway, so please recite after me. Okay. Be attentive and recite after me. Somehow that you have to, or you can refer the WhatsApp. We have a, like you can see Kesava's summer camp. In that WhatsApp group, we have posted the verse as well as the homework questions for you. Okay. Anyway, you can look into that later. Right now, please recite after me. Sri Prahlad Vacha
Sri Prahlad
Omara Acharet Pragno Dharman Bhagavataniha Durlabam Manusam Janma Tad Api Adruvam Arthadam. So that is the first verse that you all have to memorize this. Since you don't have that with you, I will read the translation for it. Okay. Prahlad Maharaj said, one who is sufficiently intelligent should use the human form of body from the very beginning of life. In other words, from the tender age of childhood to practice the activities of devotional service, giving up all other engagement. The human body is most rarely achieved, and although temporary, like other bodies, it is meaningful because in human life, one can perform devotional service. Even a slight amount of sincere devotional service can give one complete perfection. Okay. And there are some homework questions which I have given, which you can refer in your WhatsApp message. The second lesson verse I'm gonna recite, you recite all after me. Aishwaryasya samagrasya viryasya yasasah sriyah Jnana-vairagyaschaiva Sannam Bhag Itingana
Sannam
Sannam Bhag Itingana. So the translation for this is full wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation. These are 6 opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You have to remember those full of 6 opulences. Okay. And there are also some homework questions that I have given in lesson 2. Now I will see. Okay. I will read out the qualities of Lord Krishna that are mentioned in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 1, Verse 1. Okay. There are 10 qualities that I'm going to read out to you. It is in your message, but I will read out to you now. Number 1 quality, absolute truth. Lord Krishna is absolute truth. Fully cognizant, means he knows everything. Omniscient, another word. Fully independent. He does not depend on anybody. All pervading, means he lives everywhere. He is omnipresent, another word for that. He is divine, means transcendental. He is all attractive. He is asam urdhva. Sam means equal, urdhva means greater. So he is asam, means no one equal to him. Urdhva means nobody is greater than him. Asam urdhva, that is the quality. All perfect, supremely intelligent, and omnipotent. Okay? Now, actually, Krishna have unlimited qualities, but Rupa Goswami lists 64 in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Out of those, 4 qualities that I'm going to read is only possessed by Lord Krishna. Okay, so please make a note of these 4 qualities. You have it in your WhatsApp group, but I will read it, so please pay attention to it. Number 1, Lord Krishna has 4 more qualities which no one have. Out of that, number 1 is he performs wonderful activities. He is surrounded by his associates. He plays flute which attract everyone. And he has exquisite beauty, most beautiful. Okay. Then lesson 3, which we did yesterday. So please recite that verse after me. Harer Nama, Harer Nama. Hare Namaiva Kevalam. Kalo Nasti Eva Nasti Eva. Nasti Eva Gatiranyatha. Okay, so the translation for this is, in this age of Kali, there is no other means, no other means, no other means. 3 times, that means it is very important. For self-realization, then chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name, chanting the holy name of Lord Hari. Okay. Chanting is very simple and one will feel the results immediately. Pratyaksavagamam dharmyam. If we attempt to practice other yoga system, we will remain in darkness. We will not know whether or not we are making progress. While in Bhakti Yoga, one can understand that now I'm making progress. This is the only yoga system by which one can quickly attain self-realization and liberation in this life. One doesn't have to wait for another lifetime. Okay, so lesson 1, 2, 3. They all have verses and homework questions, and it is on your WhatsApp group. You can refer it to and try to do your homework for your better, so you can improve your understanding when you do the homework, and try to memorize those verses. For today's lesson, there is no verse to be memorized. So we will have limited verses, only good verses, which are very easy. I will give you that for memorization. So far we have 3, so you work on those one, okay? Now, you can ask questions. Anybody have any questions?
No, Prabhuji.
Okay. Who is that? Pratik? Pratik, you have a question?
No, I don't have a question, Prabhuji.
Okay. Satvik, do you have a question?
I had a question for like Goswami, right? He's a parent in which world? The spirit world or like in the earth? Is Goswami a parent in the spirit world? Or
Yes, Sukhdev Goswami was in the last life, he was parent of Radharani.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Then when he entered the womb of Bitika, Vyasadeva's wife, then he came as a Sukhdev Goswami. Okay. Okay, Parthsathi. Mihika, do you have any question? Mihika? Okay, who has Gaurangi? Do you have question, Gaurangi?
Yes, Prabhuji. Like, why didn't Sukadev Goswami want to come out? Like, if he didn't want to be in Maya, already he had listened to Srimad Bhagavatam. So then still he didn't want to come out. Why is that?
Why is what? Why he was not coming out?
Yeah, first he had listened to Srimad Bhagavatam, which is like
Yeah,
that
so
is
he was liberated soul. Yes, it's a very good question. So because he heard Bhagavatam, he was liberated. But he was Brahmavadi, means he did not taste the uh, devotional service. He did not develop the taste of devotional service. So what happened, that is why when he came out of this womb of his mother, he walked away. And we will see that as we go along. And his father was going behind him to get him back, but he did not come. So his father uh, taught his other disciple those verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, which I will let you know when it comes. So those disciples were going to jungle, that forest, and singing that verses. So Sukhdev Goswami, by hearing that, was attracted and came back and learned whole Srimad Bhagavatam. So that means from that point on, he was attracted to devotional service of Lord Krishna by hearing the verse which describes the beauty of Krishna. And another quality of Krishna is compassion. There are 2 verses which I will tell you when we go along. Very nice verses. One describes the beauty of Krishna and one describes the compassion nature of Krishna. By hearing those verses, he was attracted towards Krishna more and he wanted to do more. So inquisitively, he asked these disciples who were singing these verses that, how do you know these verses? Who taught you? That he says that Vyasadev is our guru and he taught us. So he taught Vyasadev is my father. Let me go and learn whole Srimad Bhagavatam. So he came and learned Srimad Bhagavatam. After that, he became, very interested in Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay. All right.
okay, Prabhuji. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
You're
Krishna.
welcome. Okay, so we'll end our session here. If nobody have any question, if anybody have question, I will wait.
Bye, Prabhuji.
Okay, so we'll see you next week now. So meanwhile, I expect that you do the homework for lesson 1, 2, 3 and memorize, try to memorize. Even if you don't remember, that is fine. We'll practice still in the class also, but try to memorize if you can. Very nice verses. I'm sure you would have a translation also with it, okay? So that and homework. So that's your
Prabhuji.
Bye, Prabhuji.
bye.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for the class.
Bye.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.